Hey everyone, I'm Grant and welcome back to the channel. So a lot of things have happened in the last week that I'm going to go over right now. First and foremost, I got braces. It's the second time I've had braces in my life. I had them when I was in high school. Long story short, I need them again, so if I sound weird, that's life. Anyway, back onto the matter at hand. Turbos! And I did a whole lot of work last week that I basically just had to throw into the bin. So here is what was going on. This was the turbo I had installed and I locked up. The good news is I finally figured out why this turbo locked up. And it's because of that drain line. If you notice, it is kinked here and here. I had actually tried doing a very simple flow test. And I poured oil in here and almost nothing came out here. It took forever to drain. So the reason why this turbo locked up was my own fault. Moving on to this turbo. This is a GTC 1446V, a very fast spooling turbo, and I was so excited to run it until I realized I couldn't. So basically the right-hand drive is really messing with me right now. My brake booster and my power steering, or I shouldn't even say the power steering, I should just say the steering linkage in general, is in the way. And though this does bolt to the factory manifold that I have on there, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but if I put these two turbos side by side, you'll notice this one is kind of perpendicular to the turbine housing, whereas this one is angled slightly. Well, what that was doing is when I went to install this and clock this housing, this turbo was actually tilted backwards about like that. And I was really worried about the oil drain from going top to bottom, seeing as I've already locked up one turbo. And I did a whole bunch of research, even to the point of getting this exhaust manifold, which is a T3 connection, and getting this plate as well, which goes there and converts the T3 to a 2-inch pipe. And I got a whole bunch of Schedule 40 pipe. And I even looked into rotating this turbo down or up or moving it somehow to see if I couldn't use this turbo, because I really wanted to. After that, I actually reached out to Doomsday Diesel, and huge shout out to him. He was a wonderful resource, a wonderful help. Honestly, if you need anything TDI or Mercedes diesels for a swap, go check out his site. Super nice guy to talk to and very knowledgeable. And we were looking at doing a couple of different turbos to get what I was trying to get out of this setup. And it came back to the right-hand drive just really biting me. I don't have clearance to the brake booster, and it's going to be really tight to all of my steering components. So I can't run this turbo. I can't run some other turbos I was looking at. So what I have decided to do is I've gone ahead and gotten basically a slightly upgraded version of the Passat turbo. So this is called a GT1749V, and I have upgraded to a GT1752V with a billet center section, and instead of this kind of housing, it's a right-angled housing that has an outlet like this where I can stick on a silicone hose. And I've ordered that through X-Man Turbo, which should be here in about another week. I believe the turbo ships tomorrow. So with all that said, I now know what I'm doing for a turbo setup. I'm basically running this turbo, but slightly better, which is going to be wonderful. It will bolt onto my exhaust manifold. Oh, and that's the other thing. I have ordered a kit, I have ordered a kit to make my own turbo oil return line for this setup. So that should be getting here, I believe, sometime later this week as well. So that's what's going on with the turbo, and I realized that was a very long segment. So what am I going to be working on now? And the answer is actually quite a few things. I need to wrap up some stuff in the engine bay. I think tonight I'm going to work on finish mounting the Quick 6 transmission control unit, because I do have to make some modifications to the plate because I made a couple of mistakes, which I will show you. And once that is done, I'm going to continue working and putting the interior back together. And once I have that done, I want to turn my attention back to the engine bay, because I still don't have the accessories installed at the moment. I still don't have the electrical cleaned up. So there is plenty of things for me to do before the replacement turbo gets here. So with that said, I'm going to just get to work. And I'm going to change shirts because this is a really nice sweater. And I like it. Here's where I'm at with the Quick 6 controller. I have it in this plate. And once I got it in this plate, I realized I made two mistakes. One, I'm not going to be able to use this hole because that's where one of the connectors goes. But it is so tight in this plate, I'm only going to use this hole over here. The other major problem is all the other connectors go on the bottom of the plate here, which isn't going to work. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just taking the controller out and cutting the plate down here and on this side, just so I can easily get the wires plugged in. So kind of knew that was a possibility, but I was also kind of hoping it would work, and it didn't. And also, this is a shoehorn. If you know, you know. Alright, I'm going to take a break from the interior. I haven't gotten it back together yet. I'm going to focus on the engine. So I want to finish up hooking up the power steering system. I have the main feed line all hooked up, but I have yet to do the return line, so I'm going to do that real quick. Then I'm going to install the AC compressor, the alternator, the tensioner, and once I have that done, I think I'm going to then turn to the electrical, because actually I need to go get that. I got a new battery. So I went with Optima. I went with Optima for a couple of reasons. Specifically, every Optima battery I have ever owned has lasted over 10 years. All right, and here's the battery. It is part number 8004-003. And the reason why I went with this model is for a couple of reasons. Because I'm mounting it on the other side of the engine bay, one of the things I disliked about the battery that originally came in this Jeep is the positive cable was right next to the fender. I got this one because they're swapped, so my positive is no longer right next to the fender. But notice it is a top post and a side post. I plan on using both. But for now, I'm just going to be using the top post, and I will be getting to this once I have everything else done. But I'm really excited about this. So, yeah, I'm going to get to work. I'm making a lot of good progress. I forgot how difficult it was to get this belt on. I'm hoping after putting some miles on it, the belt will stretch slightly so it'll be easier to take on and off. I really wish I could get a belt that was just even 1 millimeter bigger, would make it infinitely easier. Now that this is kind of back together, I'm going to turn my attention to finishing everything up over there. I need to hook up the power steering. Again, I forgot to do that, and I need to start figuring out how I'm going to do all the electrical. Currently, all my wiring is extremely long, and I really want to shorten it just so I don't have wires everywhere. So I'm going to spend the next little while just trying to figure all of that out. I have the battery installed. I'm really happy with how it came out. The wiring looks so much better. Now I'm going to turn my attention to finishing up a couple of other things that I still haven't done yet. Specifically, I need to finish installing all the fittings for the power steering. Mainly the supply line that comes out of the pump and goes to my Hydro Boost brake booster over there. I just need to tighten the fittings and make sure they're not going to leak. After that, I think I'm going to move back to the interior and wrap up getting the transmission controller installed now that I have the battery all set up. So, making progress. working on this for a couple hours now, and I think I have it figured out. I do have one error message, but I think it's because my battery voltage is low, because the engine's not running, so I'm running my battery down. But I think I have the TCU now set up similarly to when I had it with the Kubota, I think. So here, let me show you real quick. Right now it's in park. Ignore that out of range. I think that's a voltage thing. But I can go to reverse, neutral, drive. Now this is technically sport, and if I go over, then I can go to second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear, and then back up through all the gears. I'll figure that out once the new turbo gets here and I can turn on the engine again. I think that's all I have for this video, everyone. I'm very happy with the progress. I really like having this right here. It's going to be much easier to see what my transmission is doing while I'm driving instead of having to look all the way down here. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all again very soon. Goodbye.